Um, it's common cause, I think, as mentioned by a number of speakers, that climate change poses a significant threat to our environmental health. The science is, in fact, irrefutable, and the impacts are felt around the world. Our best chance to decarbonize our economy quickly and efficiently is to transition to a lower carbon electricity supply. Now, the Integrated Resource Plan in its 2019 incarnation includes a carbon emission constraint, and as such inherently sets us already on a transition pathway in the sector to 2030. Now, using the IRP as our basis, we can set a bold pathway to achieve Eskom's stated goal of net zero emissions by 2050. And we can also be unequivocal about the financing support that is available on the one hand, but also the financing support that we as a country and as a sector require. The confluence of the need to diversify our electricity mix to lower carbon technologies, coupled with the imminent shutdown of Eskom's inefficient aging coal plant, provides an extraordinary moment in time to repower coal plant sites with cost-competitive, lower carbon technologies. Eskom's plan to repower these plants to cleaner, greener electricity solutions provides fertile grounds for investments, opens the door for new, innovative, green and climate financing. And we believe that with the requisite financing, South Africa could build up to 6 gigawatts of clean capacity in the next 5 years alone, thereby accessing concessional green financing and in that process de-risk the Eskom balance sheet. A number of data points confirm that renewable technology, including storage, is now the cheapest technology for electricity generations, confirmed by recent bid rounds in Saudi Arabia and Israel. These technologies, very importantly, also have the shortest lead times and therefore present our most practical and viable option to address South Africa's generation capacity shortage in the shortest possible time. Furthermore, given that greenhouse gases have a global impact, the reduction of these emissions anywhere in the world will have a positive global impact. And Eskom, as the biggest single emitter of carbon on the African continent, has therefore attracted quite a lot of attention from the international financing community, particularly because South Africa offers the opportunity to abate significant volumes of carbon at around $7 per ton, compared to the international benchmark for the last marginal ton of carbon in developed countries of around $120 a ton. So there's a very significant competitive advantage, if you will, for South Africa in the carbon mitigation stakes. Because of this and other factors, we've already received pledges from international lenders totaling some 34 billion, and we are informed with great confidence that there is significantly more available, provided that we demonstrate progress on the just energy transition. Now, in forging ahead with this plan, we acknowledge that we can't transition to a low carbon future overnight. And very importantly, we must ensure that such a transition is just. This is very often one of the elements that is forgotten. Eskom has been instrumental in developing communities and towns, and workers and investors have all built their lives around the coal value chain. And we as Eskom therefore have a duty to ensure that their livelihoods are protected and improved through the transition. And where we cannot protect those livelihoods, we have to enable a transition to ensure that no one is left behind. And this is the bedrock and foundation of our just energy transition plans. And we therefore want to ensure that we can grow investment in renewable technologies, particularly as we repower coal power stations. And this will have a positive impact, not only on contributing to resolving our continued need for affordable, reliable electricity in South Africa, but we believe that it should also stimulate a local market and increase job creation, particularly in the heart of the Mpumalanga coal region. It's trite to say that South African wind and sun cannot be exported to China to be beneficiated there. But we must ensure that the technology used to generate electricity is also manufactured here. Ongoing analysis shows that we could potentially create direct, indirect, and induced jobs of up to 600,000 from solar PV and up to 250,000 from wind related to construction and operation and maintenance if we implement IRP 19. So this is not an extraordinary thought experiment. This is within the current confines of government policy that these significant numbers of jobs can be created. Now, as Minister Patel knows, I'm a flag bearer for the manufacturing industry in South Africa. And I believe that we are on the cusp of a very significant opportunity for us to reindustrialize South Africa and in that process create access and opportunities for a new class of industrialists. But we must also raise the flag that there is not only a requirement for us to add to our generation infrastructure, we also need to transmit electricity from where it's generated to where it is going to be consumed. And we therefore have identified in our transmission development plan the need to build in the next 10 to 15 years some 8,000 kilometers of new transmission line capacity. That means, based on our assessment of the supplier industry, that we will have significant supplier shortfalls in the manufacturing sector in South Africa from as early as 2024. And this ranges in various categories from transformers to conductors to steel. And while this is daunting, it again points to the opportunity to grow local manufacturing capability and at the same time to grow international investment in the country as fabricators of these requirements set up shop in South Africa. But we need to start to create this capacity now if we are to avoid importing the bulk of our requirements. It's important, though, that we must give investors the certainty of demand that will warrant their investment in factories. And we can provide that certainty by committing to this manufacturing pathway and by providing this kind of detailed analysis. And we have already engaged in very productive and collaborative discussions with DTIC in this regard. The added benefits of shutting down our old coal-fired power plants and transitioning to renewable technologies is that we simultaneously deal with the challenges of poor air quality, reduced water consumption, which consequently frees up desperately needed water in this arid country, and we can improve land use over time. Our initial modeling shows that if we reduce our carbon emissions by 1 gigaton, we can free up enough water to provide 200 liters per day of potable water for an additional 2 million South Africans, which is, I believe, something that has not been emphasized enough as one of the positive outflows of this energy transition. And additionally, we intend to, by this transition, obviate the need for Eskom to invest in technology for which we don't have the funds. We are required to invest about 300 billion rand to reduce air pollutants, which incidentally, as we introduce these technologies, reduce the efficiency and output of our power stations and increase carbon emissions per unit of electricity produced. We therefore think that there is a 200 billion rand saving related to the decarbonization pathway versus the IRP base case due to the investment in cheaper renewable plant as opposed to new coal plant. We are emphatic that the just energy transition is about to transition towards a cleaner and greener energy future while enabling new job opportunities, socioeconomic growth through reindustrialization, and exciting career paths for our youth. We believe that by following the just energy transition pathway, it will be possible to simultaneously create growth, invite investment, foreign direct investment into the country, create sustainable jobs, and put emissions into a structural decline, thereby ensuring an electricity supply that also enhances our industrial competitiveness. As Minister Patel has indicated this already, increasingly developed countries, which are the markets for our manufactured goods, introduce carbon import taxes. The work currently being undertaken by various bodies, such as the NBI, TIPS, and Green Cape, is very important as it cuts across all sectors of the economy, and it helps us to understand the downstream and upstream impacts, which in turn can direct our future efforts in the transition. We therefore welcome this work. We collaborate and support and encourage the continued multi-stakeholder approach that is paramount to the success of these studies. Mr. Chair, we are an enthusiastic participant in the work of this commission. We're very encouraged by the commitment and dedication of our government in driving this work. And we believe as Eskom that our approach to the just transition must be a nationally driven one and coordinated across all policy spheres from an energy, environmental, industrial, and fiscal perspective. We think that the numbers that we referred to earlier are real. We can operationalize our plan. We've got the knowledge, the wherewithal, and most importantly, the motivation to be a world-leading country in demonstrating that a just transition is possible. So, Chair, if I can conclude, we as South Africa have many times before in our history that we can go to the precipice of a crisis and to use that pressure point to pivot from crisis to opportunity. And it's our conviction that we are at a similar inflection point in our history right now. Thank you, Chair.